Alright, today I'm going to show you guys how to remove the supercharger off of a Audi 3.0T. This will be specific to the Gen 1, not the C-Rec motors. There are obviously a few different things about mine, but I'll point out the differences, and it is, in a nutshell, the same thing for every other car here. So, the tools you're going to need for this are the serpentine belt breaker bar, a ratchet. Don't need an electric ratchet, I just like to use it because it's easier. You don't need this, but it just helps me remove the connectors and vacuum lines just a little easier. A T25 bit, a 13mm socket, and a 7 or 8mm socket for the intake. I have a 12mm socket because of my ethanol sensor mount, but not everybody's going to have one of those. Another thing, the bumper's off, the headlight's off, this bracket's off because I was doing something there. You don't need to take the bumper off or anything. You don't even need to put it in service mode to remove the supercharger. If you have that bar, if you don't have that bar, you might need to. To begin, we're going to pop off this cover, just held in by grommets. Same with this one. Be careful not to snap the plastic. Just put those up there. The next thing you're going to want to do is remove your intake. So we'll loosen this clamp. Most people are going to loosen this clamp, which is fine. It's just really hard to put this back on when the supercharger's on the car because it kind of has the timing cover with the intake and throttle body setup that I have. But all we got to do is kind of just wiggle that out. Then you're going to want to remove this vacuum hose going to your intake. And again, just set this off to the side there. The next thing we're going to do is remove the supercharger belt, and we'll put this down here. I don't know if you can see, I'll turn my light on. Hopefully I'm getting a good view of that, but it'll be a 16mm, and you can just push this to the right and pop the belt off, and you can just leave that kind of right here if you want, or you can take it off. I think I might just leave it here. The next thing we're going to do is remove probably the supercharger bolts, so I like to crack them loose with the ratchet first. Everybody, these next thing we're going to be doing is removing the two little trim pieces here, because the supercharger will break them if you take them off with that on. So we have a T25 right here and right here. Put our hardware there. And then on this side, there will be a T25 right here and right here. And there we go. So on the Gen 1 3.0T, there is just this flat bracket on this side, but on a Gen 2, a B8.5 3.0T, there's just one that holds the fuel line, and it actually doesn't go farther enough this way to hit the supercharger, so you can actually leave it on this side. You only have to remove this side if you have a Gen 2. Pop this vacuum line out of this piece, and take this piece off as well. And the next thing we're going to do is disconnect all the stuff up here, as well as these two map sensors. I think so. Just take this off, and then what I like to do, pop the vacuum line out of this, kind of have it held there by the oil filter housing cap. Now, these vacuum lines are going to be unique to a Gen 1 3.0T. On the Gen 2, there should only be 4, and there won't be anything in here. There will not be a solenoid here. The Gen 1 will have a solenoid with one coming from the back towards it, and then one coming from this harness into it from the side. So make sure that you remember where all these go. The tab, lift up the tab, tab in, and we're just going to have to remove this. I'm just going to lay that there. Now, some of these are broken. Mine obviously has a little snap in it, still functions just fine. And it honestly makes it a little bit easier to remove. But you just push both of these sides together and then lift up. And then it comes right off. And you can just tuck that over there. So, once you have all those three connectors and all the vacuum lines removed, there's still going to be more connectors depending on your car. There is one right here. And then there is another one right down there. The Gen 2 will have far less connectors and vacuum lines to remove than the Gen 1. But make sure nothing is connected to your supercharger. And the last The last connector we're going to have to remove is the one to the throttle body. Now, I have a larger throttle body in 84mm from Garage Auto Sports, so there's a second harness that goes from this throttle body to the regular throttle body pin. Usually you'll just disconnect it from the throttle body right there. I'm just going to disconnect it from the harness because it's easier. And then there we go. So now the only thing left that is holding this on are the two coolant lines to the bricks. So we'll just, this is a really, really good tool to have if you work on cars with these hose clamps. Because I have my entire supercharger coolant system drained right now to do some front end work. So I'm not going to lose, hopefully, too much coolant when I take this off. So I obviously have a lot of tools here. This makes this very, very easy for me. I can just put my electric ratchet on it and get it loose. I don't remember if I've replaced this with a slightly shorter bolt, but it doesn't need to be as long as the one that it comes with because it just needs to go really, really that far. Job far easier, even though I think mine will be fine. We're just gonna do this anyways. So just stick the pick behind there, spray a little bit of silicone lubricant in there, get the hoses nice and loose. And if you are worried at all about losing coolant, you can grab your coolant bucket and kind of just put it like right there. And yeah, the last thing we have to do is just pull these hoses off. And one more thing I like to do, just to really minimize the amount of coolant that I do lose, is I have just these vacuum plug caps that I will stick over top of these ports, just to really make sure that I don't lose anything out of the bricks. It is ready to come off. So probably should have moved some stuff out of the way here before I did this, but that is how you take the supercharger off of an Audi 3.0T. Thank you guys for watching. Recommend more videos for me to make in the comments. Thank you.